Yeah.
Have you actually ever
hit the go live button and start yawning?
Have you actually ever done that?
What's that?
Forget to hit the go live button and
only because I got used to hitting it early. And then one time, like, we're sitting here BSing, and I'm like, all right, let's just get do this. I did not press the go live button. All right. Like, it's never gotten like 5 minutes into the show where I'm like, oh, fuck. But no, like, I definitely did start a show. I was about to start a show, and I'm like, nope, forgot to hit go live.
I was so excited to have Peter Howard on the commissioner evaluation show I have.
Oh, my God.
I was like, yes. I talked to him. It was super awesome. And then we're like 7 minutes into it. I'm like, oh man, I forgot to hit live. I hit live, but you have to hit it, and then you got to hit it again to confirm it. And I didn't do that.
It doesn't matter. He talks anyway.
I'm not a computer person, so this, like, I was more worried about just working the actual StreamYard app than I was like asking questions or talking about fantasy football.
Hey, this guy can learn.
My son's down here, so if anything's coming through, let me know, and I'll tell him to shut the hell up.
In those words, yes.
Yes.
Wait, how old is he?
I'm at work. It's peaceful here. This is usually I have 4 dogs and 18 kids, and all my neighbor kids run around too.
I was about to say, if it's like the 18-year-old, and then whatever, you tell him to shut the hell up all the time, I'm sure. But if it's a younger one, that's more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we can just get started, right? What?
Does this go live like on Twitter, like as we talk, or just kind of
just
like
just for patrons?
Oh, okay. All right.
So it's not.
I don't know how to do that. I want to do it on mine too.
Patrons, or
no, I don't know how to do. I'm never gonna have any patrons. I can give.
You want it to go live on Twitter?
I guess that was the thing. When I do my commissioner evaluation show, I wanted to put it like live on Twitter when I'm on there. But I just don't. I am not a computer person, so I have no idea how to do that.
Super easy. I could show you one day.
Really?
Or fucking, I'll do same thing I had to do. Oh my God, to get Brian Hart to do this goddamn show by himself, the amount of screenshots and long-winded explanations I need to give him how to do everything. Like, you'd think that kid was 90. Like, that's how bad he is at using computers. So if I have the time one day, I'll give you a how-to guide to get your Twitter up there on
That's me, because I had typing in high school. First of all, I never used computer. We didn't have computer classes in high school. Second of all, since then, I'm in construction. I don't use a computer for anything at all. I'm bending pipe or digging holes or doing plumbing work or stuff like that. I never have any I never have any use for a laptop besides doing this and anything I can't use my phone for, which is just spreadsheets. I trend like DLF and like 7 or 8 other people that I do every month. I trend running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, quarterbacks, and the top 300 people. Like, when that's up to date, which I want to talk to Ryan. I sent him a couple things. I'm like, hey, once a month, can these guys like the 1st and the 15th or the 30th every month or whatever, instead of like one guy updated and like January 2nd, the next guy's January 19th, the other guy's February 2nd. Like, I wish they're all on the same page as far as like a monthly, kind of rankings.
Oh, you're kidding. It's hard enough to get people to do rankings. I'm sure they're not going to press their luck to get people to do it on time.
I know how hard it is. Believe me. That's why I would do it.
I would never do it. No, I have no interest in doing that. Not to mention people hold you to shit when you start doing stuff like that.
Yeah. People are fucking strokes.
I'm just as bad as you with computers too. I think the first time I had to do this without anybody else, I was like, "What the hell am I supposed to do?"
And the funny thing is, it's not like I came into this knowing what to do. I just started fucking clicking buttons. you figure it out.
Tyler Carp made it. He was a little bit different last week when I had him on, and he was like, they don't teach you how to use a computer anymore. They don't teach you how to use a phone anymore. They just figure that you already know that when you come out of school now. And I'm like, well. Yeah. I'm lost. I wish I need to go back to school and take, computer 101.
20-year-old.
I know.
Right.
I don't know, man. It's not like, I mean, I guess I'm in between. How old are you, John?
What'd you say?
How old are you?
46.
Okay. So yeah, I'm younger than both of you, but even still, I had typing in middle school. We had computer lab in high school, which was really teaching us to use whatever the Apple equivalent of Paint was.
Right.
We never learned how to use computers. I don't know. I think I grew up in a generation of like, we just got computers, so we just started clicking buttons and figuring shit out on our own. And it's only my couple of years that people know how to do that. Otherwise, everyone else is either taught by their kids or all the computers these days are so fucking click this one button and it will do everything for you, that the second one thing's a little different, which is like no one could use Android anymore because all fucking kids go straight to Apple, that no one knows what to do with it.
I have a 25-year-old, a 20-year-old, a 17, and a 16-year-old, and they're all computer savvy, and they show me how to do everything. So but they don't know how to do, like, they don't know anything about Twitter. They're all on Snapchat and
Twitter's for old people, I'm sure.
No, Facebook. They look at Facebook and they laugh at me like, "What kind of nerd uses Facebook?" I'm like, "Hey, the joke's on you, man. You use the Snapchat and everything you guys talk about is erased in 5 seconds. You have no memories of your childhood, so good for you. I'm glad you hid everything from mom and dad, but you don't have all your stuff when your girlfriend at the park and stuff like that. It's all gone."
Oh, Two Drink, Oregon Trail. That was our fucking jam in high school.
I hear about that game all the time. I had that. I think the first computer I ever had was I had an Intellivision. That was the Atari television, and I had that handheld like the, what do you call it, the beige game with the little red dots go back and forth, the football game. Like that was like state of the art back then.
I had an Atari. That's as far back as I went.
Yeah, I had an Atari.
Yeah, Enduro and all the cool games
Actually,
like that.
I have my Atari. It doesn't work, but I have it. I just won't get rid of it. I don't care. It makes me happy to look at it every once in a while.
Does anybody remember Intellivision?
I had Intellivision.
Yeah.
Did you put television basketball with flash flood and rally trees and something? Guys using drain threes, carnival game, all that stuff. Yeah, I had a television. There was some good games on there. Atari had like Enduro and 10-yard fight and the tanks and stuff like that. There was Pitfall. A bunch of cool games.
I love that.
Pitfall.
Pitfall.
Yeah. I play Pitfall now, and I'm like, shit. I feel like I should be doing my history homework right now. Like this is,
Pitfall. Frogger.
Pitfall. Yeah, you're bringing back a lot of good memories, man. I can't tell you when Madden came around, and I heard like Ryan McDowell was talking about that before too. When Madden came around, and like Madden 1, I was in college, and my buddy used to take the Lions. He'd take Barry Sanders, and you press B, and the spin move would go around. He'd spin and spin. So I'd take the Bears, and the guys would hit him. There'd be 100 people hitting him. He just kept hitting spin. You get a 90-yard touchdown every time on a cheat code where you couldn't tackle the guy while he was spinning against the sidelines. You couldn't knock him out of bounds. You couldn't tackle him. It was just like, all right, a pitch to Barry Sanders on the right side. There it is, touchdown. It's like the same thing as like on Blades of Steel.
Blades of
You
Steel.
remember playing Blades of Steel?
So good.
You go back and forth on Blades of Steel. Same with NHL like 94.
Which one was the one with the 3 different guys? There was the fat guy and the skinny guy.
That was just ice hockey.
That was ice hockey.
Yeah.
You get to pick. I picked all the fat guys and just beat the shit out of everyone.
Yeah.
No, come on, man. You had to have that one guy that was fast.
Yeah. I represented myself and across the team. Yes. So I don't know. It was and then game systems. I played Madden like, man. When Madden was going on, I played every game. But I would draft every year. I'd go through it. I'd make rankings for every offensive lineman, every defensive player. I would do all the scenarios in the offseason. I'd make sure I did the defensive back drills. And I would only draft guys who were 18 to 21 years old on my team. And I would play on all Madden right from the get-go. And by year 2, I was winning the championship. I rebuild stadiums. I would trade draft picks for incoming rookies that were fast or offensive linemen that were
this guy fucking productive struggling before school.
I had notebooks for all my notes for everything. It was fucking great, man. I was so into Madden. Like, I mean, I come home from work and my wife worked 3 to 11. I had 4 kids at home myself at 3 to 11. So as soon as they went to bed, I'd run downstairs and play Madden. Next thing you know, it was like 4:45 in my morning. My wife's coming home from work. I'm like, oh fuck, like an hour. But I was all over Madden. I had notebooks upon notebooks upon notebooks about trending everybody who I trade for, what's going on. You buy new coaches and hire the best training staff, so your guys never got hurt. And it's my price of hot dogs and pop and everything was the most they could be. And I had more money I knew what to do with. And then I'd just reset the game because I got bored when you win a championship in year 3 by 47 points on all Madden with 18-year-old kids and 22-year-old kids. So
see, that's when you have to start year 1 with a bunch of 40-year-olds.
Yeah, I guess it made it too easy to grip the computer off on trades and stuff. That was the only problem. It wasn't really realistic, but.
All right, we got to get started before I start falling asleep. All right. Everyone ready?
I'm ready.
Well, I feel like I have to sneeze now, and that's not going to happen. Damn it.
That's the worst.
I'm gonna go to talk. I'm gonna be the second I go, hey,
I am Dynasty.
And if that happens, I'm leaving it in. And yes, Larry, he said pop because that's what it's called in his neck of the woods.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go.
Oh, the comments.
All right, not happening. All right. I am Dynasty Outhouse, and I have a trading problem.
I am Rocky Petrella, and I too have a trading problem.
I am John McGlynn, and I have no problem at all because I managed to weasel my way on another DLF and DAP network podcast. This time it's one of my favorites, the awesome Trade Addicts podcast. But in all honesty, I have a huge trading problem.
I was so thrown off by that. I was just like, how long is he going to keep going? All right, cool. Yeah, all right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to session 157 of the Trade Addicts podcast, a member of the DLF family of podcasts, also a proud member of the Dynasty Addicts Podcast Network, the DAP network, if you will. And we will. It's draft week. It is finally draft week. All right. Can we, everybody lean in? Like, I have a secret. You ready for this? I'm kind of ready for this to be over with. Like, we were talking about it before we started recording, and it's like, you do all this work, you do all this analysis, you do all this stuff, and then landing spots happen, and you're just like, oh, all of that meant absolutely nothing. Cool. We did nothing in the past 3 months and argued about a lot of it. But now it's just like, all right, cool. No, completely different.
That's the thing, Russ. That means more. Don't overrate landing spots.
Look, Clyde Edwards-Helaire 101. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, AJ Brown, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think we learned a lesson from last year with that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, no, we definitely have the AJ Brown rule that we'll keep saying over and over again until it's time that the draft actually comes. Then we'll be like, I just can't do it. That's such a shitty spot, and then we're just gonna. We hate ourselves. I think that's what it comes down to. We want to pretend that we're smart, but we really just fall into our. But I like this guy. I don't care about all these smart reasons over here floating on this side of my brain. Yeah. And it's just like, no, I'm going to go with this side of my brain and pick the guy that, I like his name.
Jamar Chase to the Falcons after Julio's gone. Ooh.
Oh, God. That is... Yo, I'd be fine with that. I'm not going to lie. I'm completely fine with Calvin Ridley having a guy aside from him because clearly he did just fine with Julio there all this time. But, man, like that... How much of a wrench would that throw into things?
I was just going to say, I'm gonna be sad. Unless Julio is traded on draft night, that's going to make things very interesting if that were to actually happen.
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, let's just quickly jump into it. A little bit of quote unquote news that we have right now on Monday before the draft is that the Falcons are taking calls on Julio Jones, which is weirdly news we talked about in February, which in March we were told wasn't happening. And now it's April, so it is happening. So maybe in May it won't happen again. But who knows what the hell Art Blank, is that who the owner of the Falcons is actually talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about Julio Jones because I love me some Julio Jones, and we also even have a listener question about Julio Jones. So we'll just go. No, that's a lie. We are not talking about Julio Jones here. Why are you getting me off track, guys? Hey, John, why don't you tell everybody listening who you are, what you do, and where they could find what you do?
I am John McGlynn. You can find me on the Twitter machine at John McGlynn75 and on my relatively new podcast called The Commissioner Evaluation, where I introduce the guests that follow me and interact with me on Twitter. And we have some fun talking about themselves and their personal life a little bit. We cover current events, some NFL rumors, which is pretty much all year round. We talk about the type of leagues that people like to play in, the settings they like, the host sites they like to play on, and how they like their off-season to go. And then we evaluate a team to determine if it's a rebuild, a remodel, and help the owner who submitted the team find ways to buy or sell, or depending on what direction we deem necessary for them, for the most likely success of their franchise. Sometimes it's what people want to hear, and sometimes people overvalue their team and they get mad at our suggestions. But at the end of the day, it's all just about laughs and fun. And I'm not Russ Fisher or Ryan McDowell or Nostradamus. I'm just really putting my best foot forward to give people a second and third opinion on their team's future. So you can find those things about. I'm on every other Tuesday on the Go District Network. I'd also like to just give a shout out to JD at the Go District Network. Big thank you for letting me be part of his team. A lot of people start podcasts and websites together, and they don't really like change or any kind of shake up in the baby they created, where JD welcomed me with open arms and gave me my own show. I was turned away by like over 40 different podcast people, and it's cool. That's fine. But I found a place for me to yap for about an hour with awesome guests and do my favorite thing in the world, which is talk about fantasy football and have fun with people.
Yeah, speaking of awesome guests, go back a couple of weeks. You could listen to this guy on that show. I'm pointing to me, not to Rocky, by the way. And also, yes, shout out JD, awesome dude, TA5, by the way. One of the very few at this point that Rocky is not in, I believe.
Yeah, not in that one, but
give it time.
Hopefully next year.
We'll kick one of those jerks out, right?
There you go.
So, John, how long have you been playing fantasy football?
I've been watching football since I can remember. I played almost exclusively left tackles since fourth grade on all the way through freshman year of college. I would have really liked to kept playing, but was not what you call a school person. So around 1997-ish, my brother Andy let me join one of his friends' redraft leagues, and that really fills the void, the competitive void for me that I have inside from not being on the field anymore. I'm way more competitive than a lot of people, but it's only because I love doing this so much. And it's, like I said, just not being able to be on the field. This is like pretty much rooting. It's like watching football, but running my own franchise. You guys know how it works. This is just exactly what I wanted to do with. This is my favorite hobby by far.
Oh, 100%. Man, so you've been playing fantasy football for a long time because you're old. That's what I'm trying to joke about. How long have you been playing Dynasty for?
Dynasty, this is my fifth year of Dynasty, I believe. I'm the commissioner of every league I'm in, so it's easy. I make the rules, so I know them all. I don't like to be in the huge leagues that, the, how do you call them, the kitchen sinks or the the pigs, with 800,000 paragraphs or pages of rules and money. And I was my neighbor was Mike Tagliere for a while, and me and him were in a couple leagues together, redraft leagues and stuff. And he let me come in one of his leagues with a bunch of industry people, and it was years of service and contract, and it's just so hard to trade in those leagues. You got to, and everything's got to work out right. You have to have your team's got to be. You have to draft everybody right, trade for everybody right, have the right amount of fab budget left, the right amount of money left on your $300 budget, and then just when you get your team wherever you want it, all of a sudden the contracts come up, and if you got a franchise tag someone, it's 1.5 times the price on Saquon Barkley, and then he gets hurt, and anything happens, your whole team's ruined for like another 5 years. It's simple. I'm not going to league shame anybody because some people like those kind of leagues, but this is I wouldn't know how to maneuver the trades in like 18 different kind of leagues or 19 different kind of leagues. I'm in 6 leagues, and every one of them is live. I have every league I have is live. I meet up with people all the time, twice a year for drafts, and then a whole bunch of times during the season to watch football games in my garage or the local bar or Bridgeport or wherever, and it's just your buddy Scott Sidlow's in one of my leagues. I just met up with him the other day for our rookie draft, our rookie lottery, which he got screwed out of pick 101 and 102. He's pick 103, 4, and 5.
He had 3 top 6 picks too, didn't he?
Yeah, he was so confident at the bar.
By the way, I love how you just casually name drop tags in the middle of all that.
I got it. Nick Script is my neighbor too. He lives, from Play to Win, P2W, fantasy football. There's a lot of good dudes out by me, man. It's up and comers, stuff like that. So there's never a million. There's always someone to talk fantasy football with. But and the whole state of Illinois, there's guys from. I mean, if I could name cities, but you wouldn't know. But 40 miles away, like James the Brain was in my league. He was in Whitewater, Wisconsin, like 2 hours away. He would drive 2.5 hours from Whitewater, Wisconsin, to come to my backyard or one of the local bars just to sit in the local draft and talk to all of us. Kyle August. I could name 100 names of guys that are in my league that are most of the industry kind of knows, but they're just friends to me now because we meet up, have beers, talk, shake hands. You just hang out in each other's houses. P-Win that he's not allowed in these dynasty leagues.
I wish I was doing this on purpose to him, by the way. I really do. I'm not going to say I feel bad because it's a little fun to watch him just squirm, but his name is in every single time, and his name never comes up, and it's a running gag at this point.
The guy's awesome. I mean, I've learned so much from him from the last couple of years being in leagues with him because I thought I was a good trader. I honestly send about 60 trades a day. Those are trades, original trades, or rebuttals. And he is, no matter what I send, he keeps notes on the trades I send. He's got to, and he's like, well, you said this, and he said that, and last week you said this, and how do I get that, and what about this? He'll all of a sudden he'll work these trades out, and he's like, I don't know if you guys remember the Bozo show, like Kazoo, like he's like, or a cookie, whatever. And all of a sudden you trade him George Kittle and a 2022 first for some garbage, and then the next day you're like, what the hell did he just do to me? He has some like some Jedi mind tricks on everybody. The guy's team's awesome. He's in first place. He won last year. His team got better, and he's got like 15 first-round draft picks next 2 years. It's unbelievable how good he is.
But I'm glad he's not in our freaking leagues. I don't want that. I don't want that. I want to pretend I have a chance. It's really funny. You're talking about guys driving 2.5 hours to just come have a beer with you, and then Larry Monkey's been trying to get me to his house, which is 40 minutes away for 2 years now, and I just still haven't done it. I hate going places. There's nothing against Larry.
Yeah, I live on a playing field now.
You've had a decent excuse for the way. I'm sorry, you can get John.
No, I tell everybody, just put your location on your Twitter handle. Like some people like to say, like, oh, I'm in Fantasyland, or I'm in Utopia, or I'm in like whatever. Like, the only reason I find all these people for these local leagues is because they had Chicago, Illinois, or Plainfield, Illinois, or Naperville, Illinois, or whatever. That's how I found most of these people. I'm like, hey, are you interested in a fantasy football league? I asked a bunch of people who are too busy. I asked like Waz and guys who are writers and stuff, and I understand where those guys don't want to play, because I'm getting it now where I put out some kind of like draft stuff, or I'll put my whatever I'm thinking, and I'm like grassroots as far as like this stuff's concerned, but I'll put out like a little bit of rankings or a little bit of something. And everybody in my league will like, they'll make fun of me, or they'll say like, oh, we're going to trade this guy because we know that's who you like better. Right? I couldn't imagine getting taunted like that by 100 million people every time you're in a league with somebody. Or when you're in tags, it's got to be in like 150 leagues too. I don't know how he does all that, or how he sets lineups, or they must be like mostly best ball or something. I don't know. The guy's amazing, but whatever. He's the only guy I know that shows up to a draft. Everybody there's got like, I don't use his draft stuff because I know that everybody else is using it, and I don't want to draft where he's at. But we'll be in my backyard with like 12, 11 other people, me, Mike, and like 10 other people, a couple of wives and kids running around, and he'll show up to the draft with no cheat sheet, no nothing, in a 25-round draft, and he'll still be like in round 23. Like as soon as it's his turn, bam, I'll take this guy. Bam, I'll take that guy. Every round, no cheat sheet, no phone, no nothing. He just knows the top 300 people. Like off, he gets paid to do it. I get it, but I don't think I'll ever be at that level in my life. I know around people, but he wins the league too. That's the difference. Like I could pick people. Sure, I could be like, yeah, I'll take Zach Moss in round 15 or round 19. But everybody he picks is on site. He's always in the top 2, 2, 3, or 4 every year in these leagues, and he's just amazing as much as how much he knows.
Oh, so you have to know things. That's the trick. Okay. I'm glad you're on this. I'm learning things. That's good because I've been guessing for years now. All right, so man, what were we talking about? What are some of the best and worst trades you've made in your 5 or so years of Dynasty?
Well, I've been Dynasty. I think I traded Noah Fant in a 9 tight end premium for Antonio Gibson like 2 years ago, right before he started hitting. So I was super happy with that. I also traded away. Here's one that's not so one-sided. I traded away Dalvin Cook and Aaron Jones to get Patrick Mahomes, which it hurt last year because both those guys are awesome. But I know in Dynasty it's a huge win, when everything's said and done in a couple of years. And mostly because all my leagues are mostly local. So I'll know that these leagues are going to stay together for more than 2 or 3 years or 4 years, or, that's everybody sees each other, look forward to getting together and stuff. So it's not just some like internet league where guys are in for a year and everything falls apart or something. So
wait, hold on. Cause do you find cause you play with local dudes, do you have this huge problem where people are is everyone is everyone a Bears fan? Does everyone hate the Vikings? That kind of thing where it's oh man, I have Dalvin Cook on my team, but I can't actually trade him because everyone hates his team.
I think that's more of a beginner redraft thing. I think when you're in Dynasty, and even in redraft, that everybody roots for. You're like the general manager of your own team, so everybody's rooting for themselves more than they are for, I see Rocky going to the bathroom. Everybody's the general manager of their own team, so they're rooting for their own team. I like the way I look at it is I'm 100% me the entire 16 weeks of fantasy football all the way to the championship. And then it's like a break for a week 17. And then you actually get to be a football fan when the NFL playoffs start. So everybody's a Bears fan. And I remember, in the old days when you get some new guy and he'll take, I'm going to take Tariq Cohen and I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to take everybody else on the Bears and, just to take them. But, that's an inexperienced thing. That's a beginner thing that doesn't really happen in Dynasty. Everybody kind of knows the game. And it's good and it's bad because, as you can't really have a favorite NFL team anymore. I'm a Dolphins fan. Bears are my second favorite team, but I'm a Dolphins fan just because they're constantly throwing money at free agents. They're constantly trying to get better. They're always a team that's, they kind of seem to have a path where the Bears ownership is disgusting. It's like the Bengals or the Eagles or something like that. They're just, I hate the McCaskey family, the way they run this team. But no, not. I don't really run that too much anymore in Dynasty where somebody just takes all Bears. That doesn't really happen.
Yeah, because I've never been in a Dynasty league that was like centered around actual location. Redraft, I've only been, the only redraft leagues I've been in are with my friends, those few people I had around me to actually play redraft with, to play fantasy football with. But like the second I hit Dynasty, it was Twitter, it was internet, it was message boards. Like trying to think, I played probably 2 years before I got one of my home friends into a Dynasty league, so it was a while before I ran into, bringing those people in that did the stupid things that I was used to in my redraft leagues. No one was drafting Victor Cruz in the first because we lived in New Jersey.
Right. It was a tough sell at first. Like we started playing with just touchdowns and touchdowns and, passing touchdowns, receiving touchdowns, rushing touchdowns. And we also had kickers and defenses. It was team defense, no IDP. I still don't. I'll never play IDP. But and I'm going to say never because I will never play IDP. That's never going to be a thing I'm even going to try. But
I will absolutely try it, even though I say I won't.
But we've gone from 0 PPR, touchdown only, and kicker stuff to then at PPR was introduced, and people are like, PPR? What are you talking about? You get a point for every time you catch the ball? This is so stupid. And then came around with more, super flex, and then tight end premium is the newest thing. And then we're going to have something else that comes up, like I implemented first down scoring and points per carry, things like that. And as the league progresses, when I said super flex, these people are like, super flex? Where do you come up with all this stupid stuff from? Because I was in 2 quarterback leagues for like probably 15 years before my dynasty league started, and 2 quarterback leagues are brutal. If you're in a 2 quarterback league, you got to. If you have 2, you need 3 quarterbacks. So literally, there are 6 teams that are getting a 0 because of 1 week when the bye weeks happen. And if your guy gets hurt, you're trading. You're trading away Saquon Barkley just to get anybody, any quarterback that's even close to relevant, or else you're getting a 0 for the rest of the year. So 2 quarterbacks are super awesome, but Superflex gives you so much more leverage. The 30-man rosters we have, it's pretty nice setup where the Superflex and 30-man rosters is kind of my lane right now as far as comfort is concerned.
Yeah, I never understood the idea of doing 2 QB with more than 10 teams because you're literally screwed. There are teams that literally cannot do anything about it. Purely based on draft position. If everyone only drafted quarterbacks for the first 32 picks, there are still people that are just going to get screwed. Assuming no one gets hurt or anything like that, which seems to happen every year. But just based on starters itself, it's just like, no, we are just going to randomly pick people, and you get zeros every once in a while.
If you get picked 12,
never got it.
Yeah, if you pick 12, you have to pay 2 quarterbacks because you're not getting back to 24, that kind of deal. So you're like, you're kind of rat-holed in there. But if you pick 1, you have to take quarterback because you're going to get the best. You're going to get Patrick Mahomes, and then on the way back, you may get Daniel Jones if you're super super lucky. But I don't even think you'll go that far. It's Jared Goff probably is your second quarterback.
Yeah, not a surprise. I'm not a big fan of 2 quarterback leagues.
I'm mostly not a fan of being forced to start things. That's really what it comes down to. Like the second I started running my own leagues, I'm like, 1, super flex, flex. That's it.
I guess it's awesome having my own set of rules that I propose every year, and every year at their team meeting and the rookie lottery, we have a discussion about rule changes and how we want to implement things or what needs to be done or what people like or what people don't like, and it's always the people that start out bad that want bigger rosters. Now, like, this is crap. Why do we only have 30 people? I sold on my draft. I got nothing but draft picks now, and I want to make my team bigger. And there's guys who are win now to say, no, I sent all my picks away. I don't need to import anybody else. 30's fine. So it's all about how you run your team. But the rules are rules. They're made to make it fair for everyone. And, know your role and shut your mouth. That's just kind of how it works.
That's what I live my life by. All right, but okay, what's the last question I'm supposed to ask you? What is a guiding principle you take with you, whether you are offering or evaluating trades?
I, this is a funny question because I don't have any principles. I'm in win now all the time in every league. My only principle is make my team better. And, it's kind of, I'm a hunter. I'm a team player, I guess, when it comes to my team, but I'm a hunter. My principle is I don't care what your roster construction is. I don't need to send you a tight end because you need one. What I need is what I need, and what you need is I don't care. I need to make my team better every time, and that's my guiding principle.
Man, that's a little refreshing. Got to be honest.
I got to do what I got to do.
Yeah, damn straight. I mean, because everyone's like, oh, I look at the other team and see what they need, so I can send a trade that's going to work out best for both. It's literally like, screw you guys. I want my team to be better. It's nice every once in a while. Because let's face it, that's like that's always people down here. Like that we feel it down here, but up here we're like, no, let's be good, let's be nice. John's like, no, screw that. Whoop.
Here's
right
the
to
thing.
the top.
I'm going to send you trades for what makes my team better. And if you don't like it, you can counter with something that you like, and it'll open conversations. I expect everyone in my league to counter an offer I send. And anything that's sent to me, I counter as a courtesy back to them. Like, hey, if this is who you like or that's who you like on my team, it's going to take that to come back to me. So I guess one of the rules of my league that I try to implement all the time is a counter is a definite. It's a responsibility to send a counter back to somebody else. I send all these trades just to like Scott was saying before. I'm the commissioner. If I let things go stagnant, they're going to go stagnant. So I send these trades out all the time. Things go back and forth. People see trades going on, they get a little bit jealous. Like, oh, this guy traded or that guy traded. I got to get something now. So I got to keep the pace of the league going by me sending trades out. And my trades are all about me. It's kind of like like I said, I'm a selfish boyfriend. That's all about me, and I just take off and leave when I'm done.
Man, I feel like there's if this was the open bar, we'd be coming up with some good like FF selfish boyfriend or something, but my brain just isn't there right now. All right, so let's go on this weird round squared circle that we were talking about there, where we started the show talking about Julio freaking Jones, and had to get sidetracked back to the beginning, like it's a Quentin Tarantino movie where we're not going in chronological order. So Julio Jones, it is the rumor that the Falcons, no, it's not even like a rumor. I feel like it's reported at this point that the Falcons are taking calls on trading Julio Jones, which is weird for many reasons. Like, you double down on Matt Ryan. Why double down on Matt Ryan if you're just going to get rid of Julio Jones? No, I know the real answer is salary cap. Like, they are screwed in the next coming years, and he's owed a ton of money, especially next year. Like, there's a ton of dead cap if they want to get rid of him next year. So trading him does help. And I saw somewhere, I don't remember who said it, so I don't know if it's true, but it was the Titans, Patriots, and Jets, I believe, that have, like, for reals called the Falcons to try and trade for Julio. So, all right, I mean, let's just cut straight to it. John, would it be better or worse for Julio's, I mean, to say he has dynasty value is kind of rough at this point. Would it be better or worse for Julio's fantasy value to get traded right now?
Yeah, this is one of the things that it depends on landing spot. It depends on where he goes, what team picks him up. There's, Tennessee would be a nice fit. I mean, that's one of the ones we talked about. Tennessee would be great.
Oh my God,
there's a lot of teams
I would cry for AJ Brown if that happens. I'm just putting it out there. I may literally physically start crying if he just ruins AJ Brown.
If Julio Jones went to Baltimore, Lamar Jackson, it would be his value would be up. He'd be worth a mid-first round pick probably right now, because for the next 2 years he'd be unstoppable.
And Julio Jones would be worth a third round pick if he went to Baltimore.
Yeah, nobody.
Nobody wants the receivers to go to Baltimore.
Yeah, it's like I forgot who tweeted out. Was it Kane or something? Where when after the Ravens traded away Pirates of the Caribbean or Legolas, it's Orlando Brown. They traded Orlando Brown to the Chiefs for a first, and someone, I think it was Kane, said, "Oh, great! Now they have 2 chances to ruin a wide receiver in the draft."
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
You have a big receiver that Lamar Jackson can get the ball anywhere in a 15-foot radius, and that guy can make something happen with every team he's on. So I think that he doesn't need speedy, quick, the slot receivers that he has to be accurate with. He needs a big dude that can go up and get the ball and make things happen. I think that would make a big change for Lamar Jackson. Yeah, he's not the most accurate quarterback in the world, but I mean, he's not throwing 17 yards away from people all the time. I mean, he can throw the ball up he's just never had a weapon like that where he can make it happen.
I got 2 words for you. 2 words for you. Miles Boykin.
He's a local kid too.
I mean, I liked him coming out, but hey, man, Des Bryant. Yeah, they're gonna keep taking big wide receivers until one works out. I think they've shown that they're probably gonna do that and probably draft another. Well, Ozzie Newsome's gone, so they probably won't go nuts on tight ends like they used to. But we're just used to them having 6 tight ends and throwing to 4 of them and ruining everything. But hold on, we had a question. Who at KP Poker KP? I can say that at normal speed now. Like, that's how good I am at this.
I'm very proud of you.
In picks, what would you give up on a contender to acquire Julio Jones? Rocky, this is an easy one for you because I've tried to give you Julio and Thielen in every single league that we're in. Right now, you have a contender. Magically, you have every first-round pick, second-round pick. Like, what pick are you going to first try to offer me for Julio Jones?
It's funny because of one of the trades we have on here, but the first thing that came to my mind was essentially the 113. Because I don't think most people are willing to pay a first for Julio right now. So I don't want to have to pay a first if I don't have to. So I'd be trying probably for a high second. I'd probably be willing to go 112. I think in this draft, especially, I think once you start getting to about 112, it's getting a little bit shakier. And then once you get into the, early to mid second, it really gets shakier. But yeah, so 201 is probably where I'd start. I might go to 112. Beyond that would be tough just because, yeah, he's going to score you some points. But I mean, I am a little worried. I have Julio on a bunch of teams. I'm a little worried we may be seeing the beginning of the whole kind of AJ Green descent where he gets hurt every year now. And he's already 31 anyway, and nobody wants him. So, yeah, I'm not giving up a first unless I absolutely have to, and even then, only 112.
What about you, John?
I'm not doing anything right now. I'm going to wait till find out where he lands or where he goes. But
yeah, but if he lands in that great spot, if he goes to Miami, his price is doubling.
I wouldn't call Miami a great spot. I'm not super happy with Miami as far as a landing spot. I think Tua needs a little more of the shifty guys. Not. I don't think Tua's skill. I mean, he'd be good anywhere, but there's some places he would just
hot take alert. John McGlynn just said Julio can't get open. Just saying. That's what just happened.
Oh man, he's a different kind of open. He can get open anywhere. He's like 7-Eleven. He's open all the time. But I just think that he goes if he goes to
I have to remember
Baltimore. I think it's there's a couple guys that keep taking that 7-Eleven moniker, but if he went somewhere like Baltimore, or let's just say if he went to let's say he went to New Orleans with Jameis, I'd be pretty happy with that too. I would probably be, like you said, Rocky. There's this is very top heavy draft. 1 to 7, 1 to 8, 1 to 9 is really good, and after that, it just kind of like there seems to be a huge teardrop after that. But I would probably give right about the 109, 110 after that. I don't think I'd be willing to give up any more than that. So we're kind of on the same page.
But by the way, guys, the whole idea of them taking calls on Julio is that to me one of the first thoughts went in my head is this signaling Pitts or Chase at 4. You agree with that?
I think Pitts. I don't think that matters. I think Pitts. If it's going to be Pitts, it's going to be Pitts, even if Julio's still there. If they can trade him, are you getting a first for Julio in the NFL anymore? Like, are you getting a first for a 31-year-old wide receiver?
No.
Like, I don't think so, especially when he's owed that much money. So it's not like you're walking into getting, a very good pick. Like, so I don't think trading Julio really would affect what they do at 4.
No, I think they're trading out of 4 anyway. I think when Justin Fields goes to San Francisco, number 4 is going to be Denver moving up to take for Atlanta to get Mac Jones.
They should trade out of 4.
They absolutely
they should. And then they can go to 7 right behind Miami and still take Jamar Chase if Miami takes Kyle Pitts, and they'd be set. If they got rid of Julio, brought in Jamar Chase, and got an extra picks from the future, that would be a fantastic move for the Falcons.
John, don't you know he's going to Cincinnati?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. They're taking Penny Sewell. If they don't take Penny Sewell and start protecting the quarterback, there's something wrong with them.
I'm going to be very sad if they take Chase. That's all I can say. They can take Cincinnati can
So
take Pitts. That's fine. I get it. But if they take Chase, I'm going to be live on some sort of stream somewhere, and I will literally just start crying because why are they doing that to my guy T Higgins? That's all I want to know. I will be insufferable if that happens. I will tell you right now, no one will want to listen to a single podcast I am on because all I will do will be bitching about it.
Yeah, I want it to happen.
We'll get I invited all the people from all my local leagues together at a bar by my house, McBride's 52 in Joliet, and so I got probably have like anywhere from like 12 to 16 people kind of showing up with their draft boards and just drink some beers, eat some burgers, and brag about who got the most right and make a good night of it. Anyway, it's NFL draft night. It's like a party.
Is everything in Joliet just Blues Brothers themed?
I think it's kind of dying out now with the new music and new kids and new. The movie itself is not so. You can still go.
That movie's like what 50 years old at this point.
I remember watching when I was a kid.
We're old.
I know. I was exaggerating.
My Uncle Terry's car is actually in that movie. My godfather, my Uncle Terry, his blue Corvette is actually in the movie when all the cars are piling up off the expressway. So he got a picture of that. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, just because clearly you hear Joliet, that's the first thing you think of is Joliet Jake. Yeah.
Joliet Jake, yeah.
What the hell was I about to say? Because I completely got sidetracked by Blues Brothers. I freaking love that movie. What were we talking about?
That's why I write stuff down.
Me complaining. We were just talking about me complaining. All right, but no, back to Julio. Okay, so I'm going to come at this the other way. Let's pretend I had the team with Julio where my team is bad and Rocky is coming at me and he wants to give me a pick for Julio Jones. I got to be honest. If I saw a 1 there, I would snap accept that so fast because I had Julio Jones in... I'm not going to remember which trade addict league it was, but there was one of the trade addicts leagues where I grabbed Julio in a dispersal because I thought I'd be able to trade him pretty easily. And I ended up having to do a freaking, I'm getting Julio Jones. Oh, it was 8. I'm getting Julio Jones off my team by the end of this weekend, submit a trade, and I will just pick the best one. And I ended up getting LaVisca straight up, and that makes me kind of happy. But let's face it, LaVisca's not worth the 109 to 112, I don't think.
I was very pissed you didn't take my trade in that.
I mean, yeah, if Curtis Samuel had been signed on Washington when we did that, it was a much better chance I would have. But back to my original ranting. Man, you guys got all over the place tonight. If the lowest, I got to be honest, like I think I would take the 204 for him right now. Like in this specific draft, that's the bottom to me. Like once you hit 205, it's like, okay, now I'm really dart throwing like Terrace Marshall and Jalen Waddle and other guys of that exact tier that are completely just leaving my mind because, my brain is moving far too fast for what I'm trying to do. Like that, all those guys are gone. And then you're closer to that, like De'Ami Brown and Elijah Moore and guys that like really have kind of zero chance of being a 1. And De'Ami Brown is built like it. I just don't think he'll actually be it. I love me some big, fast wide receivers. But, so honestly, to get Julio off a team where I don't want him, it's not going to take a first. I can tell you that right now at this point because I don't think it's a reality to get a first. Like, you guys, I was kind of shocked that you were willing to throw a first for Julio Jones. Now, again, we know what his fantasy value is, but when we're dealing in draft picks, it's dynasty value that matters, and he has none. So I would gladly take a first for Julio Jones at this point.
There's selling price and asking price on Julio Jones. It's completely different. There's a pretty big gap, between what I'd buy him for and what I'd sell him for. But I think this class has a lot of I don't want to say, it is higher. The top 8 or 9 guys are really good, but there's still Trey Sermons, and there's still Rashard Bateman's, and I mean those guys are probably like in the mid-second. I'm not saying round. Trey Sermons, Fire Moose if you're at a tight end premium. Even Brevin Jordan, guys like that.
I think he's gone for real now. He was just cutting out for a second every once in a while, but now he's gone for real. So
I do agree with you though that I would. Yeah, I don't think you can expect it for. And I said I would give a one. I think I said I would give a 112 if I had to. But you know what? In the off season, I don't have to. So,
Yeah, it's very true.
so yeah, I think the 201 is the highest I would go, and I would more try and probably do something like 2 mid seconds. But I would be willing to go 201 because I think you can get one more year out of him. But I think that's basically where he's at.
Yeah, I would be happy. I'd be okay sending the 201 if I was a competing team. But again, I would be thrilled being that team receiving it. All right, now that you're finally back, you could finish your thought if you want.
All right, I do. There's a lot of guys in the mid-second that I would probably take flyers on, especially if I know I only have. I think I have one solid year, and then next year will be his kind of like descending, where he's not going to be where he was for the last 10 years. I think he's going to have a really good year this year, and the next year is going to be where you're going to lose a lot of value on him. So if I can get 1.5 years out of Julio, I think I'd make especially if I'm contending, if I know that my team's stacked and I'm in a 3 or 4 wide receiver starting lineup, I think I'd have to pull the move for him as him as my wide receiver, 2, wide receiver 3. I mean, that's a gimme.
Oh yeah, but the very important thing you said, and I'll reword it a little bit. If you're trading for Julio Jones right now, be prepared for him to retire on your roster, because moving him will be next to impossible at this point.
Like John said, he could have a 1,300-yard year, and he still won't be worth the 201 next year.
No, it's just far too late for that. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so that wasn't even really news, and here is on our spreadsheet, show sheet. Man, we had this last week and we didn't have time to do it just because we had so many damn trades last week, and then we ended up recording late, which means we had even more trades. But I have been doing a mini series, I guess, call it, of podcasts with John Hogue for the Superflex City, and we've been pretty much finding the sweet spot of creating a league and running a league. And we had an episode I guess this was really spanning over 2 episodes where we talked about tanking and we talked about potential points for the rookie draft order. And on the show sheet, Rocky types tanking / potential points and why Russ is clearly wrong. And again, it's kind of a good thing. Well, I guess last week, no, last week was Stompy. Never mind. So it's kind of a good thing because, Stompy is ridiculously entertaining. But now we have a guy who runs a freaking podcast about commissioning. So this is like the perfect guy to have on here. So I will give a quick overview of my feelings, and then I'm going to sit back and let Rocky go, and then we're going to sit back and let John go. I'm just going to say, tank all you want. Like, if I were creating a brand new league right now, I wouldn't care. Like, if it's Trade Addicts 9, Trade Addicts 10, they're going to have the same rules as the rest of them, where I have this saying, you have to set a reasonable lineup. And that's really all I say. I say no tanking. You got to set a reasonable lineup. That's really all I have. I purposely don't go into a lot of detail because I'm honestly not super against people tanking. I'm fine for people going after the 101. And I hate potential points because I think ownership should – no. The way someone runs their team should be baked into it. Like, we talked before the show, we talked during the show, and how certain owners and certain GMs just aren't good at their jobs, and it keeps their teams at the bottom. Why is that any different? If a fantasy owner is bad at setting their lineups, why should they get bailed out by having good guys that, on their bench? But I'm not going to argue my point. That is just, I was letting you know how I feel. But so, Rocky, I'm going to step back a minute. Just tell me why I'm wrong, Rock.
Well, first, what do you? We have to define tanking, because what do you mean by tanking? Because to me, tanking is pretty narrowly defined. People selling off veterans is not tanking. People, getting injured guys who won't score points is not tanking. That's rebuilding. To me, tanking is setting shitty lineups to get losses. That's tanking.
Okay. All right, so
and you're okay with that? That's because I want to just make sure that's what I'm narrowly. It's most other things that some people would call tanking, which I think the two get conflated too much. That's not what I would do.
I'm with you, and honestly, like I talked about it on the Superflex Super Show. Yeah, it's tough. I get it, and I'm fine with it. Play with the rules you're in. Like, I'm in Capitalist Pigs, where I literally started Josh Rosen the entire season because he was not going to score me any points. I set a full lineup. There were players in every single spot, but I got the 101 because my team is terrible, and I don't want it to score points, so why should it have to? I'm completely fine with that, because the thing is, if you're losing, you have zero chance of winning any money, in which case you're literally donating. Why would I be upset about people donating?
But my thing is is that you're affecting the rest of the league. I mean, I don't care about what it does to the person who's tanking. It's what you're doing to the other teams, especially if you start tanking mid-season, which is what most people usually do. Like I said, I would consider someone who's not trying to win from the beginning is usually rebuilding. I would hope they're not setting shitty lineups. But if you're tanking, it usually happens as you realize you're not going to win. So that's my issue. Like, for example, like I think you said on the Superflex Super Show, you do what you need to do that's best for your team, and that was kind of the rationalization for doing this.
Yeah.
But suppose someone decides what's best for my team is I'm going to trade with this other guy. I'm going to make this horrible trade that benefits him and doesn't benefit, or benefits me and doesn't benefit him. Is that okay?
I mean, because if we're talking collusion, then no.
Well, so you agree that you can't just do what's best for your team. It's just to what degree?
Cheating isn't. No, it's within the rules that you're allowed to not start. It's within the rules that you're allowed to start nobody, but it's not within the rules because collusion, straight up cheating with another player to have that one specific team win the league or win a game or anything, that is against the rules. Collusion is still out. But
right.
But
my point is just that you're affected. The reason it's not allowed is because it's hurting the rest of the league. It's hurting the integrity, quote unquote, the integrity of the league, which is what tanking can do as well. When someone is starting their better lineup earlier on, and then they're not starting it later. And I kind of agree with you to an extent that it's again, I'm going to keep referring back to some of the stuff you said on the Super Show, but that it's
how dare you hold my words against me?
That tanking is a little bit of a boogeyman, like that it doesn't necessarily happen as much as we think. But I still want to try and prevent it, just in case it does. But so yeah, I definitely think that I think both things are an example of how, like I said, collusion is an extreme example. Tanking is still an example of you doing something that benefits your team, but is potentially hurting other teams in the league. That's why I don't like it.
Okay, so let's go with your example of someone. Breathe, compose yourself. Okay, so if you play in a league that is just playoffs by standings, I get your point. Because if someone decides week 6 to start sitting their entire roster, that sucks for the people they played week 1 through 5, assuming they won a single game, because why would you tank if you're winning games? So, yeah, I kind of get that. But the point is, we play in an age, in a community where at least one spot is going to try and take away the variance of a completely randomized schedule anyway. And as we go on, we find more and more spots. Like if you play in a John Bosch league, tank all you want. It's not going to affect the rest of the league because there's all play. There's points for. There's so many things that go into who makes the playoffs and even what seed they make into the playoffs. That one person not starting their roster doesn't matter that much.
And I agree with you to an extent there that most leagues, I think, at this point have, but I don't think most leagues have more than one spot. So I still think that there's the potential there with 5 other teams getting in on record that I just don't see the need. Why should you be letting someone? Would you not agree that in an ideal world where there's no benefit from it, that everyone would start their best lineup every week, and whoever has the best record / points gets into the playoffs?
Of course, I mean redraft. There's no point in tanking, but
so why not set up something that at least de-incentivizes the idea of not doing that? It doesn't totally incentivize the idea of doing it.
But I mean, like, think about it. How many years did the AFC North benefit from playing the Browns?
Okay, I know, and I actually thought of this too because I know you mentioned this on the thing that the NFL does it. So to me, that's different, just because the NFL is a business. They're not wins
What
and
is this?
losses.
We pay money,
No, that's
and we
my
try and win
point.
money.
We pay money and we get a monetary reward for wins and getting into the playoffs. The actual wins and losses do not matter that much to the bottom line of NFL teams. That's where the difference is for me between saying, "Oh, NFL teams can do," the Cowboys tank. They're not going to make a lot less money. Or if the Jaguars, get benefit from tanking, they're not going to make a lot. You know what I'm saying? So that's the difference to me. We are playing, and it's not the main reason we play all the time. As you always say in your leagues, it's for fun. It's not a big buy-in, but the fact that we pay and we get money for wins, they don't get money for wins or playoff wins. So that's the difference to me. Yes, they want to win, and winning it to some extent makes your franchise more valuable, but it's more indirect than what it is in fantasy football.
All right. What about you, John? You've been. I really still wanted to keep going back arguing, but I realized we have a guest here and we should talk a little bit. So on the subject, because we didn't even get to potential points yet. So let's just start with tanking. How do you feel about it? And do you have any rebuttal to anything that we have said so far?
First of all, I play in all 4 divisions with 3 teams per division kind of leagues. So that's an easy win for everybody when somebody just doesn't set a lineup pretty much. I think it's kind of not setting a lineup, I guess, is, I think it's kind of BS, but at the same time, we have potential points, which I don't know if you want to enter that conversation right now or later as far as that goes.
No, push that back. We're just going to stick to tanking for a minute so I can, if you don't agree with me, I could yell at both of you at the same time.
It's not that I don't agree with you. I just feel like you're giving all the rest of let's just say that you're in my division and you're tanking. That's fine. I play you twice every year. And so does the other guy in my league. Each of us get 2 easy wins. It's not really fair to the rest of the league when each of us play you twice and they only play you once. That we got 2 easy wins because you decided to play Josh Rosen, who never stepped on a field all season long. That's kind of a BS. But at the same time, everybody who's in win now is going to be. There's usually 3 really bad teams, 6 middle of the road teams, and 3 teams that are kind of in the hunt for the that are really on top all the time. So in 3 years from now, those guys on top very well could be on the bottom doing the same kind of tanking thing. So I'm okay with it because this is like a carousel. It comes around and goes around. You're never going to be on top every year. You're going to have some injuries that drop you down. You're going to have to sell some guys out that get old. You're going to make some bad draft picks. You are going to be tanking one year yourself. So I'm okay with it.
Okay, I don't have to yell at him. That's fine.
I'm not going to be tanking myself if it means setting a lineup where I think a guy's going to score like 2 points.
No, I went for 0. I don't even want those 2 points.
Okay.
Hey, man, it's in the rules. I was allowed to do it. Okay, so we feel how we feel, and us yelling at each other isn't going to change anyone's mind, but I hope the people listening actually got at least a little bit out of that. So let's move on to potential points, where I am not a fan of using potential points to gain for rookie draft order, because first of all, I didn't even think to bring it up, but then Hogue brought it up where you're using something completely 100% different to decide draft order between.
Hold on. I know what you're going to say, and I don't see that doesn't make any difference to me, because in most cases you are anyway. A lot of leagues don't use reverse. Like if you use a weighted lottery, you're using something different to determine.
Yeah, but it's still odds based on seeding.
What do you mean?
Yeah, that was really weird. Poorly worded.
But in that case, you're only doing it for the top 6 teams. You're not.
Well, first of all,
lottery.
I am completely against weighted lottery, but that's besides the point. Because again, it's just anti-tanking when you don't have to worry about tanking. At least doing the weighted lottery, you have the best chance of getting the 101, which clearly, sorry, Scott, it doesn't always work out that way. You have the best chance of getting the 101 when you're the worst team, because you get the more balls in the lotto, in the bingo thing, or more names in the hat, or whatever metaphor that I can't think of right now. So it's a little the same. You're still using seeding for non-playoff teams, I guess, is what the part that was a little confusing as well. But it's pretty much the same thing, because when 2 teams get eliminated in the playoffs, their seeding decides whether they get 7th place or 6th place, or whatever the hell those places are. 5th place, that's the word. regular season finish still comes into the fact. So it still does a little bit take into effect where they are still sort of balanced in the same way they went into the postseason.
I mean, not necessarily. I mean, all that means is that the two best teams in the league aren't going to be 7th and 8th, and it's basically the only thing that a record affects in that case. Am I missing something?
Well, I mean, they have a bye, so they physically
right. That's what I
can.
mean. But I mean, the teams that were better than the 5 and 6 seed are still going to potentially be 7th and 8th. I just think in most cases, maybe not most, but in a lot of cases, you're still using two different standards, whether you're using potential points or not. Because I think a lot of maybe there's leagues that just use record straight through, regardless of how you finish in the playoffs. But I think the majority of leagues use playoff finish as some sort of standard for what. Right, and if you're using record, even if you're just using straight record or points for the other 6 teams, it's still two different standards.
Yeah, but they're along the same lines. They're a little bit closer. It's not just two completely different things that have nothing to do with each other anymore. Because I mean, you're worried about tanking. What if I have This is the example I'll always go to, because the first year of the Dynasty Diagnostic Championship League. Everything's based on potential points. The way Eitan set it up was even the only two teams that mattered where they finished in the playoffs was first and second place. 101 through 110 was potential points. So if why am I going to try and win? Let me put it that way. Because I have a team to this day, I have zero depth on that team. Like, I came in second place, but if I came in third place, I would have gotten the 105. But I had the second most points but it didn't matter because I had 0 points coming from my bench. And I get it. There's outliers, there's ways around, there's all of this, but like, even pretend 1 through 6 is potential points, 7 through 12 is playoff finish. Why am I going to make the playoff if I have like 0 potential points, but I still have the wins and losses to make it in?
Okay, well, first of all, I mean, what you were saying about the thing with the two thing, I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me, because there's no way you should make the playoffs and be able to have like the 103. But
I hated it and I made him change it. But that's completely besides the point.
And so, what point are you deciding then that you're not going to try and make the playoffs?
I mean, the potential points, I would imagine, cuts off at the end of week 13. So week 12 rolls around. I have the same record as the bunch of people that have seed 5 and 6.
If you're using potential points, it doesn't matter. There's no reason not to try and win, because at least if you get in, you have a shot to win, and your potential point changing your lineup isn't going to do anything, because your lineup doesn't matter in terms of your draft record. So
yeah, but sure why settle for the 108 if I don't think I'm going to win, where I could miss the playoffs and my potential points could still be low enough to get me the 104?
Because you could win money if you make the playoffs.
Right.
That's the name of the game, right? I'm not trying to win. I'm not trying to win pick 106 or 104 or 103. I'm trying to win money.
Yeah,
so
but like you said, there are teams that should win. And like, if you're going to make the 6th seed, why? If you know that your team doesn't belong there.
Everybody has. Listen, I had by far the best team on paper in my league, and the second week of the playoffs, I played against Alvin Kamara, and he smoked my whole team. So, I mean, getting in the playoffs is half the battle. You never know what's going to happen.
And that, I mean, that's why what are you saying, that if there wasn't potential points, you could just tank then and not make the playoffs? I'm not sure.
No, I'm saying, like, if you come down to the wire and I decide not to make the playoffs, it's because going reverse standings, I must say reverse schedule. When you go reverse standings, I'm getting the 106. That's what I'm getting if I'm that first team to miss the playoffs. But if we're going potential points and I decide to miss the playoffs because I have very few potential points, because again, I have a great starting lineup but no depth, so I don't have that outlier to push me up over that big potential point score.
If you're that close,
how do you decide to miss the playoffs if you can't do anything with your lineup to manipulate things?
Why can't I set a bit of a worse lineup and still lose games?
You can, but
if you're that close,
you're saying to miss because you'll still miss the playoffs, but you'll get into the better potential point area.
Right. So by dropping into the potential point pool instead of reverse playoff, I can end up that could be like a 3-pick jump.
Yeah,
for no reason.
I'll be honest with you. I hadn't considered that scenario, but that's a very, very specific scenario with.
Oh, I said that coming into this. That this is like
would have to even think of that. Honestly,
it's just I don't know. I like, and it's really funny that I have this stance because I will be the first one to admit it. I am bad at setting lineups. I am like the power rankings tool on MFL should just outright laugh at me sometimes because it gives you the efficiency of setting your lineups, and I usually have the lowest. I'm not good at it, which is why I love my team in DDCL because I don't have to make a choice. I know who my starters are. One injury and I'm screwed, but that's besides the point. But I can't screw that up. But I don't know. I think making those mistakes should matter. Throwing the Hail Mary of starting, let's tie it in, Will Fuller, when you should have started Jarvis Landry because he's so much safer, but you took that shot to go for that 3-touchdown game and you lost, it should affect something. You shouldn't get those 3 touchdowns. And then let's do it the other way around. You started Jarvis Landry to play it safe, but Will Fuller catches 3 touchdowns. Why should you get credit for that? You didn't play him. Why should that matter for you?
Am I missing the point? I mean, the potential points that we're talking about, even if you have anybody on your bench that outscored somebody, the potential points is your starting lineup of the best player on your team, so you're going to get those points anyway. So what is – I don't understand, like, by putting Josh Rosen in your starting lineup and you had – you had Lamar Jackson on the bench, you're still getting potential points for that guy. So I don't – your win-loss record. But if you're that close to contending – where you got pretty good players, your potential points are going to put you right in the mix for you're going to be pick 106 anyway.
There's 2 things I want to say because I don't know how much longer we're going to go because I know we've been doing
this on this forever, but you're right. We should get to trades.
But the one thing I did want to mention because we hadn't brought it up, and I know again you did bring it up on the Super Show, and it's one of the biggest arguments against potential points that I hear, which is the whole I'll call it the Dan Arnold conundrum that you brought up on
week 16.
Yeah, which is, and you even sort of, I think, admitted this eventually when you were talking about it, because, he goes off in week 16. Why should that hurt me? Because I didn't even start him and all that stuff. But that stuff washes out over a season. I just wanted to get
absolutely. I know it does. Yeah. I know, but it doesn't change the fact that at the last minute it's insanely frustrating.
Because it psychologically hurts more in week 16, or with week 13, whatever. It shouldn't matter. That shouldn't affect whether you use potential points or not. And
okay, sorry, you were keep going. Okay.
My one, I guess, sort of argument, which I think that's a semi good point about the whole setting lineups thing. That is a measure of an owner in itself, but my argument against that would be basically part of the reason I like potential points is the tanking thing. It de-incentivizes ever starting a poor lineup, except in that very weird scenario you came up with. But also, we do drafts the way we do them because we want to give the bad teams a better chance to get better. And to me, potential points, more so than record, which is in part luck. It's based on who you play, when, and all that stuff. Potential points gives the best snapshot of, best picture of a whole season of who had the worst team that season. It says if you had started everybody if everybody in the league started everybody they could have, and it was perfect owners, you still had a shitty enough team that you're the worst.
Yeah, but the point is, like, sometimes you don't notice. So, like, no one, like, if you're doing that, play by all play. Give me all play percentage then. Match me up against the rest of the league and by who started who. But again, this is the difference because you're worried about who starts who. That's the problem when you're playing with potential points. You're worried that people aren't going to start their best lineup. When I don't necessarily care if someone makes a small change that, loses them a game, like we kept saying, benching Christian McCaffrey, we get it. You're cheating, according to at least the trade addicts rules. But like if you're starting Sterling Shepard over Calvin Ridley, sometimes there's logic behind that. And you can get away with that. Maybe not Calvin Ridley because he's the best player in the NFL, but like potential points. Sorry,
I'll say that like the Dan Arnold thing, that's going to wash out. Everybody's going to start somebody over somebody else. That makes much more sense. But the guy you benched outscores him. I just think if you're taking the points of all, over the whole season of who scored the most, and of your whole roster. It gives you the best picture of who that year had the worst team, and injuries factor into that. And I'm not saying potential points can't be manipulated. One other thing I wanted to say too is if you, and I've neglected to do this in my leagues, which I should, which is that guys in the taxi squad, that's the biggest manipulation you can do with potential points. Guys on the taxi squad don't count. If you have potential points, you should probably just expand rosters and not have a taxi squad.
Yep.
But other than that, assuming if you don't have a taxi squad, then I just, like I said, it gives a picture of who had the worst overall team, including injuries, which injuries, injuries matter to your point of they do in the NFL. Injuries matter in the NFL for how bad your team is that year. So the worst team that year, I think, should get the best pick, and it gives the best. It de-incentivizes tanking, which I like doing, even though you don't care about, and B gives the best picture of who had the worst team for that year, taking all factors into account.
Okay, I'll say one last line, and I'm going to let John talk because, sorry, man, that we just sort of kept going back at each other.
That's all right. I take care of that situation with my rules. I have, if you come in, if you have the least amount of potential points, you get 34 balls in our lottery system. The second worst is 20 balls, third best is 15. Then it's 12, 10, and 5 balls for the team that had the most amount of potential points. So you could take all you want to. It doesn't mean you're getting 101. And whoever wins that rookie bowl gets, whoever wins the rookie bowl, you get pick 113 as your prize for winning the toilet bowl. So I don't care if you tank. It's your money. It's your team. It's your whatever. I'm trying to win money every year, and I get pissed if I don't. If I'm not in the money every year in some league, in almost every league I get mad. I don't like tanking. I don't like it at all. I can't see myself ever tanking, but I'm sure there's gonna be a point in time where I'm going to
join 30 leagues and you'll feel a little different about a few teams. Okay, but the last line I will say is deep enough rosters, you'll have one guy that never should have caught 3 touchdowns, catching 3 touchdowns in a game. And
so
I know,
everybody else.
But does it I don't know. I don't like. The point is to be getting the better run teams into the playoffs and the worst run teams into the 101. I'm about to say something that makes me feel like a caveman because I hate this argument, but why set lineups if you're just going to be a bad team? Why don't I just not start a team if we're just going to go by potential points anyway? Because I know I'm not going to win. And it doesn't, there's nothing that's gonna. If my team is bad, why bother starting a lineup?
Why would you not start a line? Unless you're an asshole. Exactly.
Clearly, this is my argument because, there's just, to me, I get it. There's flaws in everything, and I know a lot of what I've been saying is nitpicking, which is why I just kind of agreed that I'm being an asshole at this point. But there's no incentive on anything. We talk about incentivizing people not to tank, but it doesn't incentivize me to do anything. If my pick is 100% out of my control, I'm just dropping everyone off of my team. I don't care. You better have a minimum. That's what I'm going to say. I'm having 11 guys on my team, and that's probably it.
Hey man, there's a guy in my league that's got 8 of the first round picks this year, and he's got 11 of the 12 first round picks next year. So tanking is not. If you have a method to your madness, I don't see a problem with tanking at all. That guy's.
So he's you have to know what you're doing. That's the catch. I don't like that.
And I'm glad you brought up the dropping guys and all that stuff. I get maybe if you have a bunch of roster fillers on your roster, whatever. But the reason you're not just dropping everybody is because it's Dynasty and you want to win next year. You're not. You mentioned again. I keep going back to this because I took
Dan Arnold is just what you're going to keep saying. It's fine. That's what we keep going to because it's the most recent
stuff. Why somebody might trade away LaVisca because he's scoring point. Unless you're an idiot, you're not trading a rookie wide receiver away on a team that's 10. You don't trade all your young players to get one pick in one draft. So I guess they might drop the Zach Pascals and the. Whoever else of the world, I can't think of a random name off the top of my head.
Peter Howard's man.
Anybody they think could be valuable in 2021, the incentive is there to keep them because 2021 because hopefully you're going to improve and get better in 2021. That's part of the point of tanking in 2020.
Okay, we need to
Or
move on just
rebuilding.
because. Yeah, we've been going for a while. I mean, I wish I paid attention to when we started the actual show as opposed to the actual broadcast, which I realized that I did not hit unlisted, so this is public. So whoever subscribes to our YouTube channel is watching this. So yeah, I totally was cursing a lot at the beginning before we actually started the show. So I hope everybody enjoyed that. So by the way, if you are watching this on YouTube, patreon.com/tradeaddictspod, you can get this every week. That's all I'm saying. Whoops. All right, so what am I doing? I don't even know anymore. Okay, let's get the. Oh, man, we have one listener question, so let's just get this out of the way. One of the many Nick Martinez is at Nick Martinez BR. Which rookies?
TA3 Martinez.
This is TA3 Nick Martinez. I'm starting to get it down. Which rookies ADP will be most affected by landing spot, aka CEH? Do you have anyone off the top of your head, John?
Off the top of my head, I think that possibly like Nico Collins. Somebody like that, a big guy who can step into a role and come in as, not a barn burner right from the get-go, but a flyer in the mid-second, early third rounds that can come in and actually be a producer. I think his landing spot is pretty dependent, and I think if he lands somewhere with an inaccurate quarterback, he can make a big difference.
Yeah, I think because that's the first thing that came to mind too. Like my brain went to the lower guys, so I think that's more like if Kadarius Toney actually does get first round cap, like it's more of a draft capital instead of draft spot. Like we knew CEH was going to go probably in the early second, mid second anyway. The fact that he went in the first into the Chiefs is what kind of made a difference. Like so if Chuba or Jamar Jefferson, Michael Carter, I have rookie ADP from DLF up, DLF Family Podcast, whoop, whoop. Like if any of these guys get second round, early third round draft, or even just any third round draft capital, like it'll probably shoot them up regardless of where they land. But
if we're talking about somewhere high, I'm thinking Trey Sermon.
Yeah, Trey Sermon gets drafted in the second to the Steelers. I mean, that'll probably vault him, right?
Yeah.
But like wide receiver wise, I think lately we've been hearing rumors of the NFL loving Waddle a lot more than the fantasy community does. So if Waddle goes as early as we think he will, and he lands on like the Eagles at where are you guys picking nowadays? 12?
12 as of now.
So like if he lands to the Eagles at 12, I think that will vault him into vault is a strong word because I feel like that top 8 to 9 to ish are kind of locked. We don't know the order, but we know who's going to go there. Short of, Javonte Williams getting drafted in the second and Travis Etienne getting drafted in the fourth, like something weird like that. But I feel like we have that top like kind of locked in. But if we get guys like, man, let me scroll down a little bit. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Rondale Moore, I feel like he has enough people liking him. But if like Elijah Moore lands on the Patriots, I'm sure that will boost him up. Tylan Wallace, De'Ami Brown, like if any wide receiver that lands in Miami, I think that will boost them a little bit, especially if it's like John was saying before, a guy that actually separates as opposed to the big-bodied Preston Williams, Devontae Parker kind of guys. So like I don't have anyone specific that I think will go earlier than everyone else like that we think he will. CEH was pretty much running back 5, and then he got drafted in the first to the Chiefs, and all of a sudden he's running back 1. So, the easiest answer I can give is like the running back 5 or wide receiver 5 if they get drafted way too early, which, maybe someone falls in love with what Michael Gainwell can do.
Jeez, Russ, you just said like every rookie there is out there.
I literally went through rookie 9 through 22. Yes, I literally listed every single name. I needed to try and sound smart, so I went with quantity over quality.
But from the positive aspect in terms of a guy moving up, what you said is right. I think especially the running backs, if anybody in that second tier, like Carter, second or third tier, Carter, Gainwell, Sermon, those guys that people like gets drafted to Pittsburgh in the second round or something like that. That's an obvious one. It did occur to me from like a negative perspective of who could be affected by landing spot. Trey Lance, if he goes to one of those places where he's not, like if he goes to Atlanta,
I want him in Atlanta so bad.
But it's going to knock him down. Because everyone thinks he would start start until like 2023.
I want him in Atlanta or Denver, where he'll sit this year and come in next year. Or I guess Atlanta, it might be 2 years, just because they have so much money put into Ryan.
Typically, is the big one, because almost anywhere else you can tell a story where any quarterback
they can come in later this year.
Yeah. How do you know he's not going to beat out Drew Lock this year?
That's what I'm saying.
I think probably would, but I don't. From what I know, because I don't watch college football or tape or anything like that, but from what I've seen of people saying and what I've read and all of that, he could benefit from sitting. But I mean, like Josh Allen didn't need to sit. He played from the beginning. He sucked for a bit, and now he's pretty damn good. So I know it's all in my head. Like, because even last year, before last season, I said T. Higgins could sit for 2 years, and I'd still be thrilled about him. But of course, he didn't. He didn't have to. He did great right away. So I mean, I guess it's my version of coach speak. I don't know. I guess that's really the best way I could think about it. Like, maybe he does need to rest. He need to like sit and learn. But hell, man, if he goes in, because he's going to score fantasy points, unless his version of throwing the ball is Jameis Winston on top of his rushing, because then that'll just get ugly. But I mean, even if he is rookie year Josh Allen, that's fantasy points, and I'm fine with that. I would love for him to get some time, just because he, the lower division football and 1 year of great stats and all of that stuff. So I would love for a year for him to sit and learn.
So I said Trey Lance, but basically my answer was any rookie quarterback who gets drafted by Atlanta. If that happens, where do you think that rookie I think he's definitely QB5. You agree? Whoever that is?
Yes.
Yeah. So where do you think he goes?
I think he'll drop to that top tier and make it to like the 110 round range.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
I think we're past the point of letting quarterbacks that'll start in the first year or two falling to the second. I think we've learned.
Atlanta, there's that whole thing. I mean, I think everybody knows that it's hard for Atlanta to get out for 2 years, which I think is going to scare people.
Yeah, but are we
below 110?
Are we at the point where we still think people won't get benched just because they have money?
That's true. We saw Carson Wentz get traded with a $33 million cap hit too. So.
And he got benched for Hurts. I mean, yeah. I think maybe we are just even overthinking the landing spot of Atlanta being that bad, because you're right. Like, John's right. I mean, we're saying there's a big difference between Drew Lock and Matt Ryan. Let me just start with that. But like, we can still tell a story where 7 weeks into the season, Atlanta's 0-6 or 0-7. Why not put Trey Lance out there? Just see what the hell you got, and why risk having to pay Matt Ryan to not even be able to back up if he gets hurt? So I feel like even with Atlanta, there's still a story we can tell, because I think, especially with a lot of the crappy Nick Foles, Mike Lennon contracts that have gone around, we see expensive quarterbacks get benched, and it's not that big of a deal anymore. But definitely, Matt Ryan's not going off the team anytime soon unless someone's willing to help Atlanta make that happen.
Yep.
Right.
Man, I am sorry. I feel like I'm talking way too much this show. So I'm going to say let's do trade addicts trades. We got a couple trade addicts leagues. Are 12 teams, Superflex, PPR, tight end premium, 1.75 points per tight end reception. And since there are no TA1 trades, 0.05 points for return yardage. Our first trade, TA12, to which we have referenced many times, we have Will Fuller for the 113. What do you think of that, John?
I know everybody's in love with Will Fuller right now, but I'm taking the 113. I just think that Will Fuller's on Miami. I think Miami's going to bring in a better prospect, if not more than one in this draft, because that's what they need. So I'm going to go with the 113. Hopefully I can improve on Will Fuller. Everybody loves Will Fuller, but not me.
This is Jerry's trade, right?
No, I don't remember. Maybe yes. He's in trade addicts too, so I'll say sure.
Okay, you know the deal behind this trade, right? Like, what's happened since?
No.
Oh yeah, it was Larry Monkey and Jerry O'Shea.
Oh yes.
Okay. Have a bet about who's going to score more, Will Fuller or the 113. But yeah, I actually agree with Jerry that Will Fuller, unless Jamar Chase goes to Miami, Will Fuller will probably score more than the 113. But I take the 113 in this trade, though. I just don't think you need to pay the 201 essentially for Will Fuller. When you look at his value, people are acting like last year didn't happen. So, yeah, I don't think you need to pay 201 for Will Fuller.
Right.
I just think it super sucks. The 1 year Will Fuller made it healthy, he got busted for
I know.
PEDs. Like
Well,
if he,
that's why.
yeah, I know, right? Like that's the running joke, but like and it works perfectly because before the season, Brian Har and I had a bet how many games Will Fuller was going to play, and I won.
Yeah. What is he out for the first 4 games this year too?
No,
One.
he's only one. Yeah, they get
He's just
suspended
missing
for
1 game
6.
this coming season.
He missed 5
Uh,
last year. Yeah.
I think Fuller falls into the category of better for the real team than for our fantasy teams in Miami, because we've talked about it a couple of times where Tua doesn't throw to covered guys. Wow, nice. Tua likes to throw to an open guy, and the problem is when you have 2 dudes, like, again, they're going to bring someone in, but sticking to last year, when you have dudes like Parker and Preston Williams, and you don't have that guy to take the top off to at least draw a safety away, it's harder. It's harder to get open when everyone's double covered. So you have that guy. You have Henry Ruggs. You have, the many other dudes that are going to be taken just because of John Rosses that are just going to run far really fast, and he'll get a couple of catches. He's probably still going to get close to 1,000 yards and probably a couple of touchdowns because, I mean, let's face it, we've seen Will Fuller is capable of more than just running in a straight line really fast. But I don't think he'll be asked to do that much more because I think they are going to be building around that young core. I really hope they keep Gesicki. I know there's a lot of rumors of him getting traded, but I like most Penn State pass catchers. It's probably just Har's fault, but like I really do like Gesicki. I think he's really good, and I think Tua does well with a good tight end because, I mean, Irv Smith was, put up stats in college. That doesn't happen. Tight ends don't do well. Whatever, Kyle Pitts, stop it. There you go. Kyle Pitts is the next Irv Smith. Let's do it.
You got it.
So, I mean, all that aside, because that doesn't even really matter. Rocky's right. I don't think you need to pay the 113 to get Will Fuller. And that's really what this comes down to. So I will also take the 113. I will take my shot at Bateman, Moore, or whatever those running backs that fall to that spot. Really, Rocky twice. He already took his headphones off, so it doesn't matter. We can say anything we want about him right now. Oh, his wife is texting him. Sorry, never mind. Well, I'll take that back. Easily I'll take. I'm sticking with it. I said it. I'm not taking it back. I'll easily take the 113 at this point. Next trade. Oh man. All right. Oh man, these are 3 good trades, and I don't want to do them while Rocky isn't here. But I mean, he walked away. That's his fault, and I'm not editing enough to the point where I have to listen to where we start and stopped. So let's just go in order, I guess. The next trade we have is the 101 and a 22 second for George Kittle, Robert Woods, and Keenan Allen. What do you think of that, John?
If you just can't pass up Trevor Lawrence, and these are super flex leagues. I know it's tight end premium, but Kittle's has been beat up the last couple of years. The way he plays and the way he just continues to hustle and tries to, be the yak dinosaur and catch the ball and try to break 1,000 tackles. He's just reckless on the field. He's going to get hurt again. Woods is a great guy, great producer. Same with Keenan Allen. Those are very tasty names in the fantasy community, but I guess it all depends on if I'm in win now also, or if I'm in rebuild, or, where I'm at, how many quarterbacks I have, but it's hard to take these guys who are already 27, 28, 29 and say, I'm going to take those over Trevor Lawrence staring me in the face in a 2022, next year, which will probably be, it looks like from the trade you're making, somebody's in win now. So there'll probably be at least a mid, if not a late 2022 second, but Trevor Lawrence is just too much of a prize to pass up for this.
I will easily pass up that prize for this. Like, you just bought half a starting lineup, or no, hold on, like a third of a starting lineup, because I'm actually going to start and think of the math. We know we start 10, and you're starting these 3 guys every single week. And I don't think, okay, let me rephrase that. Robert Woods and Keenan Allen, regardless of age, okay, dynasty value-wise, yes, their value will never go up just because they've hit that age point and because the rookie wide receivers coming in are just so damn good these days. But they are going to keep scoring you points for the next 3 years, easy. Because 1
year. Like, yeah, the Keenan Allen and that and Robert Woods. I one maybe those guys are both like on the plateau, kind of on the way down in their fantasy value right now. What they're going to do?
Oh no! Wow. Okay. No. See, like what's stopping Keenan Allen from just being Larry Fitzgerald for the next 6 years? Not to say they're this. I mean, comparing someone to actual Larry Fitzgerald isn't fair because Larry Fitzgerald is Larry Fitzgerald for a reason. But
Yeah.
Keenan gets open, and it's not because of his speed. And he has great hands. So he will always be a safety blanket for a quarterback. And assuming he stays in Los Angeles, he's going to be a safety blanket for freaking Justin Herbert for the next God knows how many years. Robert Woods, I love Robert Woods with Matt Stafford. Wow, I can't think of names. I'm ready for bed, guys. I've talked too much, and now my brain's just shutting down. And George Kittle, I get it. Like, do you remember how 5 years ago, Gronk was still, you had to leave to kill a bug. Oh, that's freaking awesome. I couldn't hold that in. It's funny because like we started making fun of you for going on another bathroom break. Like, oh, sorry, his wife texted him. That's a big deal. Nope, not a big deal.
No.
Not at all. Like you traded for Gronk knowing there's a good chance you're not getting him for 2 games. And I think we're there with Kittle already. You're probably going to get 14 games out of Kittle, but you're getting 14 games and you'll still end with the top 4 tight ends and points per game, top 2, top 3. So I think I'm not worried about that whatsoever. So I'm absolutely down with this. I'm absolutely down getting George Kittle. And this is a little self-serving that we'll find out later. Getting Kittle, Keenan, who I love, and Robert Woods, who I'm a big fan of. And
are we in redraft next year, or are we playing Dynasty? Because all those guys are like 29 years old.
Yeah, but you'll still be able to get seconds for them pretty easily. And if you have you play to win the game.
Seconds are not.
I remember hearing
Lawrence.
You say that. Yeah, we hope he's good. I mean, but we also thought Burrow was going to be the rookie QB1, and he wasn't. What's stopping Justin Fields from being Justin Herbert? I mean, we can't pretend to know everything. Andrew Luck was Andrew frickin' Luck, but it's not like he was the QB1 every year.
Yeah, if this is win now, if I'm in win now right now, I guess I would.
If I'm in win the next 3 years,
it's 1.75. The 1.75 tight end premium. If I'm in, yeah, I guess I'd like that. But anywhere besides that, where I know I already have a good team, an established team, I somehow got the 101 in some kind of other trade or however I got it. Yeah, I guess I would trade it away if I already had established. Because if you're winning now, you already have 2 established quarterbacks, probably 3 established quarterbacks, a pretty good roster. You're probably just a tight end and a couple like wide receiver 2 or 3s away from which these 2 guys could be way more than a wide receiver 3 or 4. Probably a good solid wide receiver 2s for your team. This is a situation where it all depends on where you're at. Fantasy wise, in a vacuum with just people on this trade right here, I'm taking the 101. But looking at the whole broad side of the barn, if I'm going to win now, I would take the players.
What about you, Rob?
As we established, I missed a lot of this conversation killing a bug. But
was it a big
bug? Big-ish. Roach. But anyway. I think with you here, I mean, well, which is probably not a big surprise because we're basically talking about trading a quarterback for a bunch of other high-end guys. So, but yeah, I mean, and Kittle isn't. I mean, Kittle's what, 27?
Ish, I don't know, somewhere
around there. And 1.75 premium. So, I mean, you have Kittle for still 5 more years, which, I mean, he's basically a second-round startup pick at this point. So,
yes. Then
you're getting Robert Woods and Keenan on top of him. I mean, yeah, Keenan's value isn't super high. Keenan's production is. And as I guess you were saying with the Larry Fitzgerald comment, he's I don't see that slowing down anytime soon. I mean, he may not be doing it until he's 36 or whatever, but he's got Herbert there. I mean, that's just so much value for one guy that we don't even know how good he is. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, for all we know, could end up living in the 10 to 12 range for the rest of his career, for all we know, or worse. I mean, it's possible. We don't think so, but we don't know. I'll take the 3. The 1 stud and the two potential wide receiver 1, high-end wide receiver 2 guys.
Okay. I have no idea how long the show's going, so I'm just going to ramble anyway. Let's not ramble. I'm going to keep this going. Okay, John. You have a competing team that happens to have a couple of good early firsts. And I come to you and I say, what would you give me for Keenan Allen and Robert Woods right now? Let's say you had the entire first round, because clearly for those two players, you're giving up a first. What first round pick would you give for just those two guys?
Just those two guys. I mean, what somebody would want, what I'm willing to pay.
No. We're going to J-Mike this. One word answer.
1-0 is probably 105, 106.
All right, so you're telling me that it should take George Kittle to get from the 105 to the 101?
No, I just again.
I was putting you in an impossible spot that you would have no answer to. I just needed to do that a little bit.
I like that you said that, because when I looked at this trade, I had the same thought, sort of the same thought, that even if you're not win now, I can flip Robert Woods and Keenan Allen for something good that I like as a rebuilder, like maybe the 105 or the 106 or whatever, 2 picks. So yeah, or 2 young players, something like that. I would take this even if I'm not win now. And then you have Kittle. Kittle can still be on your team when you're good again.
Wait, I said
and
Robert
especially
Woods.
with a 1.75. The haul you get for good tight ends in a 1.75.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
don't change your answer. You're right to feel the way you do. I was just absolutely giving you a hard time because again, I was talking too much, and that's just
I like getting a hard time because there's a my favorite saying is there's a million ways to skin a cat. So I can open this up 100 different scenarios, 100 different ways, and it all depends on team build and team dependency and team whatever. If this guy is saying, hey, I'm going to get rid of some pretty good players for just because he may already have TJ Hawkinson, Noah Fant. He may already have, he may have more than just the 101 on his team too, so
he does.
I don't know what so maybe he's going to say, hey, I'm going to get younger, rebuild for the future. And I just feel like that's what he's doing, is saying, I'm going to get rid of my older guys. I've already got a pretty good core of young guys, and I only need a couple more core young guys to make this thing work for the next 3 or 4 years. I'm going for it. I'm going for Trevor Lawrence because I'm quarterback dependent and the rest of my team is pretty stacked.
Okay, so we have 2 trades left, and they're actually both divergent from this trade. Do you want to stick with rookie picks for older players, or do you want to go to another George Kittle trade, John?
I'm gonna just I'm okay with the next one that's on here. I'll go for the Hopkins here. We'll talk about. I'll take Hopkins in this.
All right, so this is also Trade Addicts 4, and this can't remember. The dude that traded away the 101, I think, was one of these teams also. Sorry, Corey, I don't remember what the hell you did. So this is DeAndre Hopkins for the 107 and a 22 first. What do you think of that? You know what, Rocky? What do you think of that?
Oh, that's tough. Because we know I don't care about age as much as most people, but I think I would take the 107 and 22 first side. Just because that 107 is that tier. You got the Najee, Chase, Pitts, 4 quarterbacks. That's right around where I want it. That's where the tier drops off. And the 22 first. I mean, we talked about the 22 class ain't great, but 2 firsts for Hopkins really even seems a little rich right now. I mean, Hopkins is going to be good for at least another year or 2, but he's going in the 3rd, I think sometimes even the 4th of startups. And
he went in the 4th of TA9.
Yeah. So, and I don't think anybody's trading the 107 and 22 first for a 4th round startup pick in general. So, I think the value is on the 107 side. I mean, obviously, even if I'm win now, I might do that just because what you could get at the 107 could even possibly help you win now. So, yeah, I'm going the picks.
What about you, John?
This is 50-50 for me as far as that goes. It's Hopkins is a special talent, and we're not talking about startup picks 107 and startup picks 2020 first start. These are just rookie picks. You never know what you're going to get at 107, and who knows where that 22 first is going to be. I think I'd like Hopkins right now because my teams are always. I'm going horse blinders on that. This is my team, which I never have picks at all. I have 0 picks in any league I'm in for the next 2 years, so that's where I'm at. But I'm taking Hopkins just because he's such a special producer and with an awesome quarterback that loves him, and he's going to get peppered with targets and catches for the next 2-3 years.
John's already making me hate myself for not saying Hopkins.
Yeah, it's really funny because I agree with both of you. Like, this really is a really tough trade because exactly the same thing happened. I saw this trade come through. I'm like, wow, good for you. Getting 2 firsts for Hopkins. Like these days, it's rough getting the 107, but you got a 22 first on top. That's awesome. But it's DeAndre freaking Hopkins, man. Like he's good, and there's no reason for he's in his prime, literally in his prime. There's no and there's no reason to think that's gonna go away. Are we worried that AJ Green's gonna take away real targets from DeAndre Hopkins? No. And that team is only freaking, that division is only freaking getting better. So it's just, man, like at first when I'm like, good for you. I mean, I guess both are true. They're not mutually exclusive. Good for you for getting that. But like, would I do that? Like, I would have such a hard time trading away DeAndre Hopkins for picks.
I honestly don't know if I would do it either. Even though I said I would take the pick side, if Hopkins was on my team, I'd have a really hard time.
Actually. I mean, that's the sign of a good trade, right? Where we're sitting here arguing with ourselves, which is the better side. So good on you two who did that. I think the value is on the pick side. I feel like that's not super argued between even the three of us, but I think we just would feel better having Hopkins on our team because that's just like it comes down to would I send the 107 for DeAndre Hopkins? Probably like that's what you have to like if you want to make a real offer for DeAndre Hopkins, you have to send someone in that top tier. You're not going to get him for less. And 22 draft being what it is, let's pretend it's my pick. I don't remember if this was this person's 22 firsts, but regardless, let's pretend it's mine. I'm getting DeAndre Hopkins, which is making my team markedly better.
Right.
Do I care about sending next year's bad, hopefully 112 to just make it get done? I don't think so. So again, like it's usually your gut reaction's the right one. I don't think that was the case in this one because I'm officially like, oh man, good for you. So yeah, I don't know.
As a person who hates draft picks, I can only imagine getting burned on the N'Keal Harry's and the JJ Whitesides on the picks I did have that I kept and was so. I mean, I remember going in a draft and saying JJ Whiteside is going to be the next Jerry Rice. This guy's going to be awesome. He catches everything. He's great, and I got burned on so many picks I hate him.
Did you go into saying J.J. Arcega-Whiteside is going to be the next Jerry Rice, Rocky?
No, I did not do that. Not even when he was next.
Eagles fan, just had to do it. I know, but I mean, first of all, assuming you actually make the draft pick at 107, but also, I mean, don't you have the same feeling about the 101 in your other trade where, again, you're talking about N'Keal Harry, and I was thinking Corey Davis right away because those are two dudes I drafted at 101 that just...
Right. Devontae Parker's.
And yes, you shouldn't draft wide receivers at 101, but that's besides the point. I'm a wide receiver guy, and I screwed up. Leave me alone.
Well, you shouldn't, Russ.
Yeah, I've learned. I might do it again, but I'm just saying, but, for now I've learned. All right, let's do the last trade because this one is going to hurt my soul. Trade Addicts 5. Calvin Ridley and Tyler Boyd for George Kittle and the 302. There's nothing you could say to make me feel better about what I did. But what do you feel about this one, John?
Oh, man. First of all, I love Calvin Ridley, and I also love Tyler Boyd. I 1.75 really makes Kittle like really juicy here, but I just think I'm going to have to take the Ridley and Boyd side. I'm sorry if that offends anybody or whatever, but I'm a Ridley Boyd guy. I love Tyler Boyd. I think he's super underrated, and Cal Ridley is just a breakout waiting to happen. I mean, it already started happening.
It happened. Don't get me wrong. Ridley, if you go to Dynasty Trade Calculator and type in Calvin Ridley's name, you see Outhouse his man's. Yeah. But I've been complaining about it for the past few weeks where I have this horrible habit of just not paying attention to what I'm doing and ending up with the same guys on 9 of my 15 teams where I'm just like, all right, well, now what? I got to do something a little different, right? And
what? I hate when people say that. Like, oh, like the percentage of my ownership.
Oh, no. It has absolutely nothing to do with diversifications or anything like that. It's just the fact that I end up with the same guys, but then I don't want to trade them away because I like them too much, and then I run out of things to do.
Right. So, I have Chris Godwin and DJ Moore on every team I own. Every team I own.
This was literally a team shakeup for the hell of it. This was me not knowing what to do, and I'm like, fine, let's just freaking do it, man. I don't like my team in TA5. Let's pick a direction. Let's lean hard into it. So I went after Kittle. Trading away Calvin Ridley, like the amount of gifs I got where people are like, or like, is this how Russ is letting us know he's kidnapped? Like the amount of reactions I got made me so happy. And then also hurt because I traded away Calvin Ridley and Tyler Boyd, two guys I legitimately love. Like I have my cards back there somewhere, right there, and those are my autographs and my fancy cards. And my biggest stack, my biggest stack is T. Higgins, but my next biggest stack is Calvin Ridley, and I have some beautiful Tyler Boyds coming in the mail because, oh man, cards have become such a freaking vice. But like, I love those guys. I have my Calvin Ridley jersey signed upstairs that eventually will go in a frame on that wall. I've just been way too lazy to actually do it. Like, I love Calvin Ridley and Tyler Boyd. It's just, I wanted to do something. I found something I could do, and I did it, and I hated it. But I think my team's better for it. I mean, that's the only. What do you think about this one, Rocky? I don't think we've let you speak yet.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. When I heard about this trade, it's not one, but two guys.
Two of my guys. I know.
I was like, "What is going? I don't even know you anymore." I mean, I feel like you're the one who taught me to love Calvin Ridley, Russ.
And I was right, and you should.
I do.
I need other people to know the love. That's what it was. Like, I don't want to be selfish. I need to spread it out, not too much, because I need like 50% at least to make me feel whole. But in in TA5, it's like no. This league needs to feel the happiness. It needs a different GM needs to feel this love of Calvin Ridley, and it hurt, but it was the right thing to do for the league. What the hell did I just say?
You're so unselfish.
What the hell am I talking about?
As far as the trade, oh my god, I can't even talk.
Okay, now I'm good.
Okay,
Focus.
anyway, I mean, the 1.75. I'm a big elite tight end guy,
Yes.
so this one was tough for me. I'm with you. I love. Maybe it's just from listening to you so much, but I love Ridley and I love Boyd. So, and in general, I'm an elite tight end guy, and especially now, I've learned this from Scott Connor. I'm trying to sort of fade wide receivers, pivot down from wide receivers, and all that stuff.
It brings you pivot down to Boyd. That's the problem.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's a fair trade. But I would probably, it must be your influence. I mean, I'd probably take the Ridley Boyd side.
Don't get me wrong. I'm sad that you chose against me, but I'm happy for the reason it happened. Oh, what the hell of a way to end a show, right? Because that is the end of our show sheet, so that is going to be the end of our show. Plus, I have lost the ability to form rational thought. That's to assume I've been speaking rationally for the past hour and 47 minutes, which clearly my brain wasn't working in the first place because, again, free YouTube for everyone that wants to watch. But before we do head out, John McGlynn, why don't you tell everyone who you are, what you do, and where they can find what you do?
I am on the Twitter machine at John McGlynn 75. I have my own little podcast, my own little slice of heaven called the Commissioner Evaluation on the Go District Podcast Network. And it's I just talk, we laugh, we have a good time, we get a little personal conversations. And I'm on Twitter as much as I can possibly be, sometimes probably too much. But I love this community. It's people that all have the same interests, the same love, the same hobby as I do, and it's great. It's every once in a while it gets a little bit crazy or catty or whatever, but for the most part, everybody on here that I follow or interact with is really genuinely good people, and it's just nice to be part of this community where everybody kind of understands each other and has patience with each other, and really doesn't make it too hard to love your hobby. So that's me, and that's thanks for having me here, guys. I had an absolute blast. I love coming on these podcasts where it's half the show we're laughing about stuff and laughing at each other, and that's what it's all about.
All right, our stuff is patreon.com/tradeaddictspod. Again, if you enjoyed watching this YouTube and hearing me curse like a sailor before the show started, you get this every week, including my pregame stretches, which I even just did right now because my body is just breaking down. And I'm the youngest of the three of us. Yeah, we also have our group me chats, the Cool Kids Club, which is filled with awesome people. So that is fun. We also have ffpodshirts.storeenvy.com, where you can get us. Took my sweatshirt off because it's way too warm, and I'm wearing a Hufflepuff shirt. Shout out my Harry Potter league that's finally going. But you can get awesome shirts, mugs, stickers from thousands of podcasts at this point. I'm far too tired to list them all. But the best part is you get all this awesome stuff, but every single penny that comes in goes to charity for the until next show, because let's face it, I'm not going to cut off midweek. Until the next show, all money that does come in is going to go to No Kids Hungry. We have about $40, $40-something so far. I mean, let's make a cool 50, someone buy something. And for the next 2 months, Rocky's going to pick something, and we're going to go. All the charity money's going to go to those charity. I keep thinking there's more, but there's no more because I'm tired and I can't think of anything else. I am Russ Fisher at Dynasty Outhouse. He is Rocky Petrella at Dynasty FF Addict. I love that you put your hand on StreamYard because I will screw it up. This is Trade Addicts Pod at Trade Addicts Pod. We are a member of the DLF family of podcasts, also a member of the Dynasty Addicts Podcast Network at DAP_network on the Twitters. Subscribe, rate, review to all of those because you love us and want to just make us happy. And subscribes, rates, and reviews make us happy, even if we don't check them, because society has told us that reviews, rates, and subscribes should make us happy. And I listen to what society tells me to do. Good night, Rocky. Good night, John. I have no idea what I'm saying anymore.
Good night, Russ.
Good night, Russ. Good night, Rocky.
Good night, John.